Hello, welcome. David Baker with the Wisdom for Life podcast. We're glad you're here. Got a short wisdom thought for the day, okay? Just a short wisdom thought. Hey, 2022, how are you going to make it through this? Do you have any idea what you're going to face this year? COVID, they say it's worse. More people sick, more problems, more delays, jobs, finances. What are you going to go through this year? Do you have any idea? We don't. A lot of people get nervous and scared and afraid of, oh no, what are we going to do? I want to give you some help and comfort with that. Let me ask you first, what have you been through? What have you been through in the last few years? What have you been through in your lifetime? What did God bring you through already in the last few years or in your life? Have you been through COVID already? Have you been through the death of a loved one? Have you been through cancer? My dad had cancer last year, kidney cancer, had to take a kidney out. What are the bad health issues? The loss of a loved one, financial problems, job problems, marriage problems. If you're married, you got marriage problems. So what has God brought you through already? Children problems, a prodigal problem, car problems, more car problems. Okay. The problems with our country. What have you been through already? How are we going to make it through this next year, 2022? Who knows what's going to happen? Hey, it is another election. And the COVID is worse, they say. I want to give you beautiful verses, perfect illustration, how to make it through. 1 Samuel 17:33, and David said to Saul, Thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he is a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, Thy servant kept thy father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went out after him and smote him and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard and smote him and slew him. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living God. David said, Moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said to David, Go, and the Lord be with thee. What a beautiful thing. How are you going to make it through this Philistine? Well, I'll tell you how. Same way I made it through the lion. Same way I made it through the bear. God was with me. God helped me. And God is going to see me through this also. Well, what a great thing. Hey, how are you going to make it through 2022? Same way we made it through 2021 with God's help. Same way we made it through 2020 with God's help. Same way we made it through 2019. Whatever the worst year of your life was, whatever the worst problems, I look at the things that we've gone through in our life, family-wise, financial-wise, people-wise, friendship, church, ministry. Wow, how did we make it through all that? With God. How are we going to make it through this one? With God. Whatever problem that hits you, whatever problem you face, whatever it is that you get confronted with next, how am I going to make it through this uncircumcised Philistine? You just remember, the same way I made it through the lion, the same way I made it through the bear, God is going to be with me. And how's God going to do it? I love this phrase. It mentions often in the Bible, by God's mighty power. By God's mighty power. Deuteronomy 4:37, therefore he chose the seed after them and brought them out of his sight with his mighty power. With his mighty power. Psalm 106:18, again his mighty power. Ephesians 1:19, working of his mighty power. God has mighty power. How's he going to deliver us out of that? Also how? With his strong hand. Boy, he loves that phrase. With his strong hand. Exodus 13, verse 9, for with a strong hand hath the Lord brought thee out of Egypt. God has a strong hand and he likes to show it. He likes to show it. How are we going to make it through this 2022? With his mighty power, with his strong hand. The same way he did with the lion, the same way he did with the bear. God is going to help us with this also. Now, why does God allow us to go through these things? Just real quick, one of my most favorite verses, two of them together in Deuteronomy 8, verse 2, and then verse 16. And thou shalt remember all the way which the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness to humble thee. Why did God lead us in the wilderness to go around and around in circles? Do you understand? God led them these 40 years in the wilderness. You ever feel like life, you're just going around and around? What am I going through? Now, some of the children of Israel are going through that because they didn't have the faith to go forward. But other ones were just a part of the crowd. But God still led them, and he still fed them, and he took care of them. But he said he led them in the wilderness to humble thee. Before God uses somebody in a big way, he has to humble us. To prove thee, and to know what was in thine heart, whether thou wouldst keep his commandments or no. God said, I sent you through that to humble you, to prove you, to see what's in your heart, whether you keep his commandments. Deuteronomy 8:16 is almost the same. Who fed thee in the wilderness with manna, which thy fathers knew not, that he might humble thee, that he might prove thee, to do thee good at thy latter end. Do you understand that God does want to do us good in the latter end? Hey, how are you going to make it through this? With God, with his mighty power, with his strong hand. And the same way that he did with the lion and the bear, God's going to help us with that Philistine and with 2022. And why has God allowed us to go through those things? To humble us, to prove us, to see what's in our heart, whether he would keep God's commandments or no, and so God can do us good in thy latter end. Hey, don't fear this year. Don't fear the things that come in life. So, I'm good right now. Okay, what about next week when something big hits you? How am I going to make it through it? Remember, with David, here's how. Just like with the lion, just like with the bear, now it's going to be with this Philistine. God, through his mighty power and his strong hand, he's going to help us through it. God bless you. Hey, have a great day.